Thanks a lot for taking the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
To speak with me. You had a show yesterday in Canada. It's early in the morning where you are. You're not in Canada anymore.
Yeah, we played in Toronto last night, and so we're back in the United States now. We were in Canada for about a week.
Okay.
About a week of shows. So yeah, we're in it. We're in it right now.
And of course, you have another show tomorrow, and you have plenty of shows in the next 20 days in the United States. How's the tour been so far?
It's been really good. You know, it's been an amazing thing to just get back to playing live shows. Yeah. So, you know, being back out on the Knotfest Road show has been incredibly exciting. And we've sort of divided it into two different legs rather than doing a whole 2-month straight time out on the road. We kind of did 1 month here, and now we're in the second month of it. And on this run, we have Horror and Cypress Hill with us. So it's been a really great tour so far.
Great bands both. Great bands both. Unlike other bands who had big gaps between their tours due to the pandemic, you played your shows until the end of February back in 2020. And then when everything started to feel like a little normal again, at the start of September, you went straight ahead of the road again. So I think it's safe to say that the rust from the quarantine is off. You are in full rhythm.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you know, for us, we like to stay active. It was definitely a gear shift to, you know, we had just put out We Are Not Your Kind, and we were really excited about it and touring in support of it. And then that all just got cut really short. So, you know, to get back to it is definitely, yeah, you know, shaking rust off like everybody, you know, everybody's just kind of figuring out how to be a band again and how to, you know, how to tour again. And it's a whole different world than it was beforehand, you know, so just getting used to that. But it's been good. You know, the main thing is just getting back to doing what we do and doing with the people we like, sharing it with all around the world. So we couldn't be happier that we're back at it right now.
The band is known for its relentless performances, but in the past 2 months, there's a song in the set list that I'm sure it gives you time to breathe. I'm talking about Snuff.
Okay.
I think that you wanted to stay in the set list. It must be a breather for you, and it's a great song.
Yeah, it's you know, something like Snuff is a good challenge for us because it's definitely something different. You know, it's not the normal pacing that we have during a show. We don't typically let off the gas all that much, so to speak. You know, we kind of go full throttle all the time. So to do a song that's a little bit, you know, more down tempo and quieter and just a different dynamic of what we do. I mean, there are plenty of examples of that in Slipknot's history. You know, it just so happens now that we're kind of experimenting with that live, and that's awesome. You know, the more different stuff we can do live, I think the better. You know, I'm excited to play Snuff, and hopefully that translates into us playing more of the experimental songs that we have. We sure have a lot of them, and it would be great to introduce some of those as well. So yeah, this tour is Snuff for sure, and hopefully that's a sign of, you know, some more things around that dynamic you know, come into our set soon.
Could you tell me some of your favorite songs to play live? Let's say 2 songs from before you joined the band and some songs after you joined the band. 2 and 2.
Sure.
Okay. Anything you want.
Okay. Let's see. 2 songs from before I joined the band that I like playing. It's hard. But I'll say Skin Ticket always felt really awesome to play.
And it's rarely played.
Yeah. We started playing it. We did a show where we played a whole record and had to dust off a couple songs that we had never played live before ever. You know, or very rarely, you know, if ever. And so Skin Ticket was one. What else? Now I'm blanking on what songs we have. No, like Skin Ticket was great. Another song from that album, Metabolic, which was a challenge. You know, we had never played it live before ever. So that was awesome. So I'll go with those two. Those are great songs that were really, really awesome to just, you know, give ourselves the challenge of playing it, you know. And then as far as new stuff, the Chapeltown Rag, which is our newest song that's out there, I really enjoy playing that. And the song Custer is a lot of fun to play live too. That always seems to get a wild reaction.
Let's go back a little. In 2014, you get the call to be on Slipknot. What's the feeling in a situation like that? You must say you can't believe it, I think, at first.
Well, honestly, I didn't know what I would be playing drums for. It was never explained to me. You know, it was a complete surprise. It was pretty much like go into that room and set up your drums. You're going to play for Slipknot in 20 minutes. And that was it. That was the only heads up I ever got.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it was a complete shock, but you know, we're friends and they, you know, they needed a drummer. They asked me. That's really it. You know, this is it was a simple, you know, it was a simple yet complicated thing all at once. But you know, we just decided to have fun with it, and then almost 10 years later, here we are.
What was your experience as a new member back then, along with Alex, the two new members, on the recording of The Great Chapter? It was a big shift for the band. Two founding members were not there for the first time, and you came as the new kid, along with Alex, to record a new album. What was that experience like?
Oh, it was a lot of catching up to speed, as you could imagine. You know, I've got some new bandmates with whom I'm very familiar, but now that we're making new stuff together, it all has to be completely new. It all has to, you know, pick up where the band left off. And so when you're picking up where, you know, where these guys left off, it's a lot of just making sure the energy is there, the spirit of the band is there. And it's with, you know, with our eyes set on the future, not looking in the rearview mirror at all, you know. So the past of the band didn't really matter in that aspect. It was all about what was coming at us, you know, in the future. And so that was really exciting. And it took a lot of, you know, it took a lot of really hard work to build up our chemistry throughout the making of that record, our musical chemistry, our inter-band chemistry and stuff. But you know, we learned a lot about each other, and then once we started hitting the road, that's when all the real work started to happen, you know. But no, it was a fantastic opportunity to completely immerse ourselves in making this new music together, you know. And for me, coming in, I had no expectations and nothing to really draw on, because this is my first, you know, collaborative experience with a new group of people. You know, regardless of how familiar I was with the band's music, when you're making new stuff, it's all completely new and you have to start completely from scratch. So it was a huge learning experience. And you know, I feel like we got a powerful piece of music out of it with that album, and we've just continued to build on that from there.
And fast forward 5 years, you got "We Are Not Your Kind," your second album with the band, and it shows that the band as a whole works really better in that album. Could you tell me if for you it was the same as for me as a listener, at least?
Yeah, it definitely, I feel it was a better version of us, you know, on that record. And I hope every record going forward is, you know, a better version of us. But no, with "We Are Not Your Kind," you know, I find it incredibly ironic that we made The Great Chapter without having me ever played a Slipknot show ever, you know, knowing how much of our show and what we do on stage really informs what we do in the studio.
Yeah.
To me, it was like completely backwards to do a record first together, now that I know what it's like on stage. So, you know, with "We Are Not Your Kind," we took, you know, a couple hundred shows, that's all like, so that's kind of helping me think about, you know, my creative contributions to to a new album. And yeah, it really came out in that. I really love that record because it's a great snapshot of us working, like really working together in the same room and hashing out these songs together and playing them together. You know, it's hard to do that in a modern recording setting, but the fact that we were able to achieve that was really cool and really rewarding. I think you can hear that on the album. So I really like We Are Not Your Kind, you know. Yeah, it's an interesting period of time for the band, but I feel like we took a lot of momentum from the Gray Chapter into making that, because we had a period of like 3 years where we were just working on We Are Not Your Kind. We didn't play any shows, but we got right to work after we finished touring in support of the Gray Chapter. So I think you can hear that momentum in those songs, and they're still a lot of fun to play live.
Yeah, you mentioned Town Rag a little earlier. It was the first taste from the music you are working on, and it was released back in November. It's the end of May. Could you tell us anything about the new album?
Well, I can tell you it's coming.
Yeah.
We're done with it.
Corey said at the beginning of the year, it's coming in the next 3 months. It's not here yet.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we've never given any kind of timeline. It's just we know it's coming. You know, we're done with it. So as far as anything the band is in control of, we're done. Okay. We're done with it. We've been done with it for a while. So if it were up to all of us, it would be out tomorrow. You know, but it just takes time. You know, it takes time for all these things to be finalized and perfect, because we are perfectionists and we do want it to be the exact way we want to present it, because once you present it out to the world, it's the only chance you get, and you can't take it back, you can't change it. So it has to be what you really want out in the world, and that's just the careful planning we're taking with it now. But I can tell you, yeah, it's done. We're happy with it. We're excited for everybody else to hear it. And from what I expect, people will be hearing new Slipknot music very soon. And the album we're expecting will be out before the year is done. So it's quite an exciting year for Slipknot and for anybody who enjoys what we do.
Corey said in an interview that he likes it more than We Are Not Your Kind, even though he loves We Are Not Your Kind. And Sean said back when you were recording the album that you were making God music at that period of time. How do you feel about these new songs in contrast with Slipknot's discography as a whole?
Sure. I think the new record is you know, it's a really good and interesting next step in the evolution of Slipknot. I've always said that, you know, as a listener of the band, I always admired the fact that each record the band put out was completely different than the one that had preceded it, but it also felt like the logical next step, like the next artistic step in this, you know, this journey. So, and I feel that way now, you know, now as part of the band, I feel that way with We Are Not Your Kind coming from the Gray Chapter. And so I feel our new music is another step in that creative process. You know, it's certainly different. It's got a lot of different stuff that people will not be expecting from us. To me, that's probably the most exciting part. You know, there's stuff in there that is certainly what people are going to want out of a Slipknot record, what we want out of a Slipknot record. But to me, some of the most exciting elements are the things that I don't think people will expect, you know, that we get to surprise ourselves with, the real experimental nature of the band. So that's a really exciting dynamic. And yeah, you know, it's different. There's not much else I can really say about it. It's a Slipknot record, you know. We're excited about it.
we as listeners, when we hear someone from your band, especially one from from the older members like Corey or Jim or Sean, saying that it's an album that has Iowa levels of heavy, or it's something that's a continuation from Volume 3. We always get into this mindset. When you have to go in the studio and work on these things, do you find do you find yourself visiting those records to try to get something from them, or it's a complete new process for you?
Yeah, I'd say not at all. I honestly can't remember, unless we're learning a new song for something. I can't remember the last time I've listened to a Slipknot record. But no, when we're focusing on new stuff, it's not informed by anything the band's done in the past at all. 100%. You know, we have touchstones that we speak about when we're in the studio, like things that just kind of put music in a familiar context. Like, you know, if we're working on a song that has more like moody elements that, you know, that capture a certain part of the spirit of Slipknot, we'll kind of reference things like, oh yeah, this song kind of fits into the Skin Ticket category of things, or the prosthetics category of things, or you know, this is like, for example, on our last record, a song like Spiders, that kind of doesn't share many similarities with other songs. That's kind of a major outlier. It's a very experimental tune. Each record, I feel, kind of has that. So we kind of identify that as like, oh, maybe Spiders is like the, you know, the Circle of this album, or the Vermilion Part 2 of this album. You know, which it's nothing like those songs, but it's kind of like, okay, this is where we're really challenging ourselves to do something very, very different, but still make it what we are. So we talk about things in those kinds of aspects, but no, we don't, you know, there's no sense in us trying to capture, you know, something that happened 20 something years ago. You know, we want to do is come up with something that comes across as genuine and authentic and real. And you have to dig into what is inspiring you in the moment, not a version of yourself that's, you know, 15, 20 years old. So yeah, you know, it's all about keeping it fresh, and I think that brings out the best of what we do.
To a more tough subject now. Joey Jordison passed away last July, one of the founding members of Slipknot. What was the impact of this tragic news within the band?
Well, I think, you know, I can say it was, of course, tragic and very sad. As far as how it affects us, you know, in the band, I feel that's just kind of something that stays within the band, you know. There are certain relationships and certain things that we just kind of keep internal. But needless to say, no, it was tragic, and it's still, you know, it still hurts. It hurts everybody, you know. You never want a fallen brother like that, you know, to pass away too soon. So no, it's, you know, it's something that is a heavy presence in the band, as is the loss of Paul Gray. You know, making the Gray Chapter was a huge, you know, exercise in moving on from that in a creative way. But no, you know, it's they're heavy presences that are with the band all the time. So we feel it, but we also kind of just keep that inside.
Okay, two more questions because we are running out of time. The image and the appearance is a crucial element for Slipknot. You have a new mask for this cycle that was unveiled back in November. It's a great looking mask, I must say. How do you contribute in this process? Is it something that you like?
Yeah, of course. You know, I always really appreciated how from album to album, everybody's masks take on, you know, an evolved character of themselves, and you can kind of go deeper and deeper. I find the mask is really more, it's informed by the music. So really like my new mask only kind of starts to take shape, or I have a vision for it once the music is all done. So once we finish this album, last year at this point, you know, I wanted to, I felt like I wanted to move in a direction that reflected how I feel, you know, how I feel about the music we're making and the world around us, around me. And I feel like this mask kind of captures that, you know? So yeah, that, you know, making that with the people that we collaborate with on those elements of what we do was a great and rewarding experience. And yeah, I'm excited. It's a new, you know, new chapter, new mask.
And something I always wanted to ask a member of your band, how could you play for 90 minutes wearing a mask? Is it something that you get used to?
Yeah, you have to get used to it, right?
Yeah.
You know, you have to. It's part of it. You know, there's no getting out of it. So, so yeah, you know, it's all the things that you could ever imagine it is and more. But it's just part of what we do. So, you know, at a certain point, you just don't even think about it.
Last question, Jay. You are only 31 years old, but besides Slipknot, you have another giant job in your resume. You played with Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band back in 2008, 2009. How could you describe the experience of playing for 3 or 4 hours with these legendary songs?
Yeah, you know, very, very similar. It's like that's what the position entails. There's no getting out of it. There's no change in that. You just have to go and do it, you know. And I know it's easier said than done to just go do it, you know. And I understand that it's like, well, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. But you know, it was an incredibly rewarding experience. All those people are, you know, like family to me. You know, they're my uncles, for lack of a better term. So to then cross that threshold of then being on stage was an amazing experience. Took a lot of work, you know, a lot of learning the music, and already music that I had grown up with being embedded into my brain, you know, but no, it was an amazing experience. And certainly the work ethic of, you know, playing with Bruce and the E Street Band has carried into everything I've ever done ever since. Yeah, the 4-hour shows are not easy. You know, it's not easy. It's not easy to do most things for 4 hours. You know, so you know, the fact that I was kind of kicked into the deep end of rock and roll education was, you know, was a great experience. And you just have to learn how to put the pieces together as you go. And you know, that's what I've done ever since. And that was what, 14 years ago, something like that. I don't know at this point. But yeah, you know, incredible experience, and I love all those guys. I'm so grateful for that experience.
That was all, Jay. Thank you very much for your time. We'll see you with Slipknot here in Greece for the first time after 11 years. They last played here in 2011, and the 23rd of July at Release Athens. We are waiting for you.
Man. Yeah, it's been too long, so we're very excited to come.
Thank you very much for your time, Jay.
Thank you. All right, see ya.
Bye.